Look at this asshole. So annoying when she cuts him off. Shut up.
Like, it's not even that.
Shut up, Colin. Shut. Let me finish. I just want to cut you off every time now. I'm curious if Cullen has a porn addiction. Let me tell you this. Let me tell y'all something. Let me just start the podcast off today telling you 2 things. Cullen has a mama and 3 sisters. And if he ever cheat or beat, he would be in some serious shit, y'all. He wouldn't even be sitting here. He'd be in the hospital right now.
Is that why I'm so like that is my biggest pet peeve, I guess, of relationships is the whole cheating thing and the infidelity.
We don't play that shit.
I don't know why. Like ever from day one.
I tell you why, because you got 3 sisters and a mama that would kill you.
Good Lord. And that's like the biggest, like, hey guys, what's up? Hey. Welcome to the Don't Tell Mom podcast. I am Cullen.
Diving in on the deep end.
Well, I was about to go into something else here about this. And then, then we're the brother and sister duo. I'm Cullen, and this is my sister, pregnant sister.
Very pregnant sister. There's actually 3 of us sitting here right now.
There is. I can't wait to meet her.
There's like a whole baby in me.
There is like a whole baby in her.
Like a person.
Little baby Sophia.
Yeah.
Welcome back. Hey guys, thank you all for the love and support on the last video. If y'all missed it, go to check it out up there in the corner if you're watching on YouTube, and in the description if you're listening on the podcast.
Yes.
But
we talked about some things.
Yeah, we did. We got a little deep last time. Mm-hmm. We beat around the bush for 20 minutes talking about the nursery.
Well, before we started the podcast, it was kind of like, well, we can talk about this because we've been sitting downstairs, not on the podcast, talking about all the things we talked about on the podcast, But then when it came time to like film and go time, we still weren't sure if we were even going to bring it up, I think.
Yeah, because it's oh God, even
something's weighing on you. Right?
Yeah, it's like it's been an issue, and like when I was doing my video on the Cullen and Katie channel, I was having a hard time like just spitting it out even again, like just because it's hard to admit your faults.
Yeah,
we're all like, I guess. We all want to be the best we can be and show the best we can show and all that kind of stuff in real life. And there went the air conditioning. I don't know if y'all heard that coming, or the heater, not air conditioning. It's like freaking snowing here today in Alabama.
Please turn that off. I got a heated blanket on.
Yeah. But, so I don't know. We're really going to end up on today's podcast ultimately, but we did kind of want to feed off of the last episode and dive a little bit deeper into some things and topics and read some of y'all's comments. I kind of mentioned that I wanted to dissect y'all's comments, and then we were just sitting here talking about, whoa, now we're in a spaceship. If y'all heard that kick on. Just kind of go in deeper on some of the comments and similarities with addiction and life.
So this is what, usually we try to, Cullen doesn't, but I try to write down like an outline for the day. And this is what our outline looks like if you're watching on YouTube. It's just a blank paper.
A blank sheet of paper.
A blank sheet of paper, because we are literally winging it. There's nothing. If you see me look down, I'm looking at literally nothing because we don't have any idea what we're talking about. That's the beauty of the podcast, though. We can just wing it, though.
But we were talking about something right before we started recording, and I want to, y'all stay tuned because we'll mention it kind of towards the end. But I want to get y'all's take on an idea that we were kind of throwing around for the channel and for the future of Cullen and Katie. I mean, Cullen and Brittany, and Cullen and Katie, and Brittany and Corey. Like it's a family affair.
Yeah,
and Sophia and everything else.
We'll see.
But no. Thank y'all for the comments and the support on the last video.
For most of you, yes, thank you.
For most of you, yes.
For about 5 or 6 of you,
Oh my gosh, yes.
Sorry. I know I'm not supposed to say that.
No, it just all got bleeped out.
Yeah.
But let me mark a timestamp there. Okay, 9 minutes. Okay. And then we'll kind of dive more into that too. Like, what is Cullen addicted to? That's all I kept hearing, and we kind of addressed that. Katie addressed it first, in which me and Katie hadn't even talked about what we were going to film, one way or the other, and she just kind of came out and said that, and was really mature and respectful and you know, that kind of thing that tends to lack in the internet community sometimes.
Well, let me tell you something. In the South, anyway, it's just, you don't talk about certain things, okay? You don't talk about drug addiction in the family. You
miscarriages. You don't talk about those necessarily.
You don't talk about religion, politics, money.
Money, yeah.
I mean, you know, there's just things that it's rude. Like, how dare you ask that?
Yeah.
But the thing is that, I mean, I don't really care. I'll tell y'all what I've been on and hadn't been on and whatever. But to each his own. And it's like, well, we'll talk about it if we feel like it. And if we don't, then don't worry about it. I mean, it doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, if you're addicted to candy or if you're addicted to crack cocaine, it does not matter if you are struggling and it's causing you problems, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah. I mean, you could be addicted to freaking, and this is something I kind of wanted to touch on. I can honestly say, with my addictive personality, when I couldn't find the weed or whatever, you know, back in the day and stuff like that, I would like go to the gas station and like see stuff, you know, and it would just be like, oh, what is that bottle of pills or whatever? And the speculation is very frustrating to read in the comments sometimes because I get it. It's human nature and it's natural to speculate the worst from somebody. And especially when that somebody being the personality putting it out to the world isn't that upfront initially. But when I'm reading some of these comments that are like blatantly or like just
like, oh, I remember that day 3 years ago you were on heroin, I called it.
Right.
It's like, what
the
about?
F are you even saying?
Here's a timestamp from the video.
Yeah. Just like the specific call outs and stuff were now and you know, I can already anticipate the comments. Don't feed the haters, you know, blah blah blah. But like out of 1,000 positive comments, those 6, you know, are just the ones that are frustrating to read and kind of discouraging, especially when you go out on a limb to try. Like we just said, it's hard to, you know, admit your faults as a human,
especially publicly. Now, on the flip side of this part of this conversation, let me tell you that play devil's advocate, if you will. I mean, you do put yourself out there publicly, so you got to expect to some degree. Of course, people are going to be curious and they're going to want to know, and they're going to say, "Stop beating around the bush." If you're going to tell us a little bit, tell us all of it. You know what I mean? So you know, as a viewer and as on the other side of that coin, I understand how people are like, well, we want to know all the nitty gritty. All that stuff. Totally. It's natural. But at the same time, it's like what brings you as a person to take your little fingers and type on your computer screen negative, nasty shit. It's just, you know.
It's almost
shame on you.
I mean, it's like if you, it's like if you're not going to say it all and knows it, it's like, well, why are you even watching? Like, or I don't know. It's frustrating because I don't like the speculation, even though I set myself up for speculation, you know, essentially. But
we've established enough, I think. We established you smoked pot, you drank.
I drink a lot, and I drank a lot. Other things have come and gone, you know. Yeah, I've dabbed in, I dabbled.
Dabbled.
I actually have never dabbed, like legit dabbed. Dabbing came along after my smoking weed days.
Yeah.
But so I've dabbled in a bunch of different areas of drug use, but the bottom line is that if you will, I mean, I can go ahead and say my drug of choice is weed.
Yeah.
Like, give me a freaking blunt or a joint. Not now, obviously. Hi, I'm Cullen. I'm an addict.
But that's the mentality, like.
Right, like. So and then you know you're gonna get the comments. Yeah, you can't get addicted to weed and da da da. But it's not necessarily it's
the personality trait.
It's the mental trait. And like I said, when I didn't have like weed, I'll go to the gas station to get an energy drink or something and be like, ooh, what is that? It's got like a pot leaf on the pill bottle. Maybe that'll make me feel like I'm a little high. And that is what an addiction is when you're trying to alter your state of mind, no matter what. And I remember like growing up and going in high school, me and I won't say any names, but like we would go to, you remember Yellow Jackets?
Yeah,
those little uppers, and that was another thing. Like, Cullen's cranked up on pills, and no, like, okay. First of all, I've never, ever, 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 ever touched or been around or near heroin.
Yeah,
couldn't even tell you what it looked like or anything.
And if you
I could,
then that's
I've seen
okay
it
because that's your demon. You know.
Yeah, totally. And there were so many comments about all these stories.
I would love to talk about heroin because
I want to hear about it. Like, what do you want to know? I mean, what do you want to talk about?
Because that's really what the problem is, and that's why a lot of the like even today I was reading an article about opiate use gone down since marijuana was legalized in these states and all this because people can do that instead of having to seek pain pills that they can get a prescription for or whatever. Yeah. And I'm telling you, I've lost some friends to pain pills, y'all. I've lost one of my best friends overdosed not even a year ago on heroin, and it started with a broke foot, you know what I mean? And
that's what a lot of the comments were saying. Like they went into hospital and got on pain meds, and they were hooked for 5 years after that.
Yeah,
and it's just like
I blame the government.
Yeah, I mean, the doctors are just throwing it around loosely and stuff these days. But I mean,
because it's critical level, I think we're losing these young folks and these older folks, and I mean any walk of life, you're losing these people to a drug that they were prescribed to from a doctor that they trusted, and then and then it just spiraled out of control, and then when they couldn't get their prescription anymore, then they would seek it elsewhere. Because I don't know if y'all have ever come off of, some of you I know have been through this or have had family members that have gone through this, because reading your comments we now know that, but it's not a fun thing to come down off of drugs like that. And so when you're physically ill, so sick, you can't do anything but seek that drug. Mm-hmm. But the beginning of that cycle started with a visit to the doctor's office that you trusted. Mm-hmm. And then now you're so sick that you would do anything to get another pill or another whatever, Yeah. And then
that's where
my ex was like this.
Hostages and all that. Like,
I'll tell JJ's story. Like he was in my ex. We were together 5 years. Great guy. He passed away recently in a car accident, and he was part of our family. We went to the funeral and stuff. But he was in a car accident and he broke his back. Was airlifted to the hospital. I mean, almost died. He was in a car accident and then broke his back. I mean, he had like screws literally all the way up and down his back. He was in the hospital for like 3 months or something. And then he, of course, was on pain medicine the whole time. And then he had to go to pain management clinics. I mean, he was pretty boogered up, And then
I remember that being a big contention in y'all's relationship.
Yeah, it was bad because it was like he couldn't. He would tell me, and he would be so sick at himself because he was just not like this. He's just a good old boy. He was a very strong-willed person. It just completely changed his whole life because he couldn't go to work. He couldn't walk. He would walk around at work and he would tap his pocket to see how many pills he had left in his pocket, and he would eat them. I mean, like a handful a day, and the doctor's prescribing him these big old bottles of Lortabs or Percocets or whatever, these pain medicine. And then he eventually got to Suboxone and was trying to wean himself off it and all this. But I mean, I've seen this man that I loved, physically so ill that he would have done anything to make it stop, the pain stop. And it's like a strong man.
He's such a good guy. Such a good guy. Like
hands down, I've never met anybody who had anything bad to say about this man. Like he just give you the shirt off his back, but
totally like emotionless in some stages of his, life.
Just,
I remember like he was just not there sometimes, and it wasn't like he was there physically, but he was not like he was checked out because he was just doped up. Well,
it pissed him off to the point where one day he went to the pain management. He went to his doctor, and the doctor increased his limit. This is years after the wreck.
Oh my gosh!
And increased the amount that he was getting or something. And he goes, you know what? You're not trying to help me. You're trying to get me hooked on. Like I already can't go without 10 a day. And now you're going to up my limit. You're supposed to be weaning me off of this. This is ridiculous.
Good for him.
Dog cussed the guy. Comes home, grabs the pain pill bottle, and tosses him down the toilet.
Good.
And literally went through the shivers and the shakes and the sickness and whatever. And I was there helping him, and then ended up getting the Suboxone and stuff like that to try to. I mean, but it was like you can die coming off that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
there was a comment that I read on the last video that said that she, I think it was a lady, but she said that she got off of her pills that she was hooked on, didn't sleep for 14 days or something like that, and then like had the most miserable, like went back to the doctor thinking she was going to die, and he said, "You're not going to die." And eventually, and she's been sober for 10 years, 8 years, or whatever but there was 14 days of like hell and misery that she had to sustain to get to that breaking point, or that breakthrough point. But right. I can honestly say, and I don't even know if Katie knows about this yet, or if I don't know. But when I lived in Tuscaloosa, when I moved down there to be closer to her and go to school after we met, I lived with a roommate, and the guy next door was a old war veteran, and he was always out on his back porch, smoking a cigarette and hanging out, and he always had his grandkids over on the weekends, that kind of thing. Just a good guy. And the longer you stay close to somebody and y'all helping each other out with ladders and I borrow an egg and all that kind of stuff, you start to get to know each other. And then they invite you over for dinner and that kind of stuff. Well, the whole drug he went out to go hit a bowl or something. And I was like, okay, hell yeah, let's go. And then it turned into lure tabs because he had a bunk foot and busted up ankle. And he, same thing, had the big old things. And he would sell them to me for like, I think $2. I think they're like 7.5s or something, the speckled ones, the good ones, the ones that are like, like the high class or high end lure tabs, if you will. And, Back then, yeah. And I don't think I ever mentioned that to Katie, actually. So sorry, Katie, if you're listening. That's another thing I lied to you about and hid from you. And that's another part of the addiction thing is just working through it like that.
I remember being so scared for you when you were going through the lower tab thing, because it was like, Cullen, that shit'll get you though, homie.
You did tell me like several times
that'll get you, baby.
You actually, that's like the one thing you told me to slow down on, or like to watch out for.
Everything else was like
the weed and the booze and everything else was like, because you can only do that some of the other stuff in moderation, but the lure tabs you can like just hold in your pocket and pop
get you
whenever you want, and they're $2 next door.
The thing is that it made me sit thank God I've never had a problem with the lure tabs or the pain pills and stuff like that, because it makes me so sick. Like even just a tiny drop of pain medicine I will be throwing up. I mean, it made me so sick, and it didn't do that to you. Duh. And then here I am seeing all these friends that it didn't do that to, that were dying and like overdosing and doing these and getting so hooked on it that like their whole lives would go down the toilet. And it was like, Cullen, you don't get sick like I do on these. Yeah. Just you stop taking.
No, they made me like they were like uppers for me or something. It was weird. Like a lot of like you hear lure tab, you're like, oh, I'm gonna veg out and just chill. These would like make me get shit done, and feel good in the process. And then on top of that, I would hit a bowl, and then on top of that, I would drink, And so I got the like trifecta, and I'm just feeling fine. Hey, but.
And the rest of us are like, you're an idiot.
You're an idiot, yeah.
You thought you were funny and charming.
Yeah, and then I'm like posting these videos. But the thing was like, I knew I had an addiction problem with those.
Yeah.
And if it weren't for me having to like move out of the area or like after the
couldn't get it no more.
Yeah, I couldn't get it anymore, and I had to stop. And when I did, I remember like it's the weirdest feeling, or it's the worst feeling actually. Like it's like I was like a 22-year-old or whatever, and I felt like an 80-year-old man because my joints ached. Like every time I tried to get up in the morning, I was like, oh my God, I can't move, and it hurt. And then like you said, the shivers, and like I was always cold, like, but once you get past that, it's all good. But like just that initial like, oh my God, I was addicted to this shit and I didn't even realize it. That was like the thing. Like when I started feeling that pain from not taking them, that's when I knew
Yeah.
that I was addicted to something like that.
You got into it too far, yeah.
Even with this recent news that we've been talking about, like I've been honest to gosh, not done anything, and like I'm on a path of sobriety and like keeping myself clean from weed and alcohol and any type of other substance that may just creep into my life somehow or the other, because I'm one of those guys that'll just, be like, oh, let me try that. Yeah, that's cool. Let's see what that does,
Yeah.
What's this dirty mushroom on the ground here? Let me just eat that. Whoa, I'm flying. And then it's like, oh, it's fun. Let me do that again. Whoa, now I'm flying on a giraffe.
Yeah.
But where was I going with that story? The flying on the giraffe got me.
But you're clean and you really are.
The past week that I've been, me and Katie have kind of talked about everything, and God love that woman. I love her to death. She is like, and I've said it before, she saved my life, but like just the support she's given me. And that was another one of some of the comments I saw were like the lack of support that people think Katie has provided or given with the kids and all that. Because when I said that I haven't seen her in 3 days, I didn't really give any substance to that. And so everybody automatically assumed she up and left with the kids or something, but that wasn't the case. I got away from them and like just took time to myself to like really focus on like what I need to do, because it was killing our relationship.
Yeah.
But the past like week and a half or something like that, because I'm not going to lie, up until we made that video, I'd been like smoking weed, like here and there. And, and it was like when I wanted to just veg out and chill, and it was almost, it was an addiction, obviously. Like I had to have like that, this is going to be more fun if I do this, and then do that.
Had to have something.
But I haven't been able to sleep. Like there was one night I stayed up to like 2:33 in the morning next to Katie, and she's laying there snoring, like just passed out. And I'm just sitting there like twiddling my thumbs, looking up at the black ceiling in the dark. And I'm like, why can I not go to sleep? And so then I finally fall asleep at like 5 o'clock in the morning, and then Katie's getting up, I'm like, damn, what? And I told her, I was like, I don't know what the problem was last night, but I could not sleep. So then the next night comes around, and I just like wake up in the middle of the night, and I like check my boxers thinking I pissed on myself. I'm like, why am I? And then the whole bed was like covered in sweat. Like I just had like a sweat, like you're sweating out these toxins, right? I guess, I don't know. And then I was like, okay, that was kind of weird. I don't know what that was about. Maybe I just got really hot. Katie got a heated blanket up on the bed now and all that kind of stuff. Or the dog was laying on me while I was asleep. Yeah. And then the next night rolls around and I break out into another sweat after I finally fall asleep. But I realized it's just like every night before this, pretty much, I was, hitting a bowl, or had an altered state of mind to go to sleep or to just chill, and then I would pass out and fall asleep. But now it's obviously gotten a lot better, and I'm like, yeah, let's go to bed. We went to bed at like 10:30 last night after we ended up getting everything said and done. Yeah. But it was just like, that is just crazy. Even the tiny drug, weed and beer, I was still having these withdrawal symptoms, I guess you would say they are. I don't know if you would even say they were. It may have been that I was just hot, but the past like however long, I haven't like broken out in a major sweat or haven't had a trouble falling asleep. It's just interesting how once I cut all this off in my life, my hidden life, I guess. Yeah. Then I'm starting to have these different type of effects, and I don't know if y'all have noticed. Bernie was just saying earlier. Mom was like, "Tell Colin to quit stuttering and just spit it out." And like I was telling Katie that last night, I was like, I don't know what it is, but ever since my head is like clear now, and I'm like, my brain is going in 500 different directions because I can like see clearly now the rain is gone. And so I have all this motivation and all these ideas and aspirations to be a better person and do better. And so whenever I'm talking to you and you say something, I'm like, oh yeah, and then I'll like get sidetracked, and then I'm trying to like find that in the back of my head what I was gonna say, and I can't remember, and so I'm stuttering, and then I look like an idiot.
Yeah, some asshole commented and said that I need to stop cutting you off. I'm like, I'm trying to save him.
Yeah,
because I know where this is going.
This is gonna go to.
We're gonna be here for 10 minutes waiting for him to spit it out.
But yeah, no, it's very interesting to kind of go through this whole process now publicly. And
that's scary enough. I mean,
I know, and I wouldn't say weed was my only addiction, but I would say that was like I said, that would be my drug of choice. So what is my addiction? Weed and beer and alcohol. Not even beer. Like I skipped. I mean, I didn't skip it, but I went. I love vodka and whiskey and all that, all those hard liquors that they call them. And so when you're doing that, and just getting ripped every night or every other night, and on top of trying to hide it from your wife and family and that kind of thing, the mental stress and the relationship, the stress it causes and tension it causes in the relationship. Like I said in the last video, especially since day one, that being an issue of contention, of being lied to about and that kind of thing, it's crazy to think about. And it's kind of something else I wanted to say. Sorry, I'm just like
spit it out.
I'm just going here.
Go.
Y'all just keep driving. I'm just talking. But the thing that most people don't realize or see in our videos and in our daily vlogs is the waves of up and downs that we've gone through since day one, behind the scenes, as far as our relationship with me and Katie goes. And you think we don't see it, but we can see it, some of it. Well, we can feel it. I mean, we don't know the details and all that stuff, but like people can we can sense like something's different with y'all. That emotional. We were just talking about this too. Yeah, the emotional detachment is very obvious when there's something there.
Yeah.
But at the root of that, there was that addiction for mental adjustment that I had.
Yeah.
Of like trying to get high in any way, shape, or form, to cope with the everyday life that I thought was stressful. It's like, why was I doing that?
Well, I'm no doctor, but I'd say that when you were going through depression and you were having these problems, you were self-medicating, and that wasn't helping. And then Katie's, she's having to watch somebody that she loves spiral kind of out of control a little bit, but yet not be able to kind of talk about it. And y'all's whole life is lived in front of an audience. A lot of your life is lived in front of an audience. So to not be able to have to beat around the bush and not be able to just come out and say, this is what we're dealing with, and I don't know how to handle it. And she has every right to be angry, and she has every right to be pissed off and confused and not know how to feel and all that stuff. And then your depression is no joke. That's nothing to fool around with. And so, and
I'm honestly, like you said, self-medicating. I wonder if the self-medicating put me in a deeper state of depression. You know what I mean? Like, because
now you're lying and you're hiding. And
and it's like, well, and at a certain point, Katie knew about it. Like, I was like, honestly, at a certain point, I don't know if she's going to kill me for saying this or not, but she was on board with it. Like, she allowed it. She kind of like the whole thing with what she's doing now, as far as like, I'm not in control of him. I just have to trust that he is making the right decisions. Mm-hmm. She kind of went that route. And when she let the reins go, it was all or nothing for me. And I was like, let's go. Yeah. Where's those ounces? I was like looking for all the stuff. And she even brought up a thing the other day that she was talking about how I was making a run, if you will, to a dude, and she knew about it, and she was sitting outside with the kids playing on the trampoline on a gorgeous Saturday afternoon. Yet she was having to I told her, I said, track me on my GPS, just in case something happens, and I'll keep you posted. I'll call you when I get there. I'll call you when the deed is done. Not saying she was okay with it at all, but she was allowing it to try to make me happy.
Right.
And I golly. It's hard. It's a hard topic. But she, she was thinking about it, and she was like, why am I having to sit here and worry about if my husband is going to get shot or arrested or pulled over or whatever? Mm-hmm. And I'm sitting here playing with my kid. I should be enjoying this, but instead I'm worried about this. And that's kind of when she realized, like, this isn't like a normal thing. Like, this isn't a cool thing to worry about, like, what if I did get pulled over? What if I did get, shot or like something? You never know what's going to happen. And that's the thing with these AA meeting or NA and AA meetings or whatever, is like, until you're just going to keep going until you either die or get arrested, you know, like, that's the thing. Or you put your foot down, or your wife puts her foot down, or you have like a revelational like thought, and like you just want to get better. Because could you imagine, like, if Gaines and Brooks didn't have a dad, or if, like, their dad was in jail?
Yeah.
And
Cullen, we know exactly what that feels like.
Yeah, I mean,
we know exactly what it feels like to have a dad that's wasn't there tonight because he was locked up, or because he got pulled over drinking and driving.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Or like,
yeah, that's
he's
true.
Sitting at a bar somewhere.
That's true. Yeah, and I think we need to get, if Mom is able and willing. We kind of mentioned this, like, get Mom on here one episode. Yeah. Again, and have her kind of like tell us how she's like, why. I want to know, like, why she stuck it out. Mm-hmm. And then I want to know, like, what she learned from either sticking out, because there's several times where she didn't stick it out. She was like, leave, probably, I'm sure, like, but there's also so many stories that we have about, like, growing 3 o'clock in the morning, like I'm talking about traumatizing things, like hearing plates breaking and things like that.
Now, let me stop you right there and just say to you and everybody else that, my dad, may he rest in peace. Yeah. It was an amazing man. I mean, like, he taught me so much, and he was he's a good time Charlie. He's funny. He's witty. He was so intelligent. He was, he's so supportive of us. I mean, never missed a dive meet. Like, he was the ultimate dad. We loved our father, and I'm not going to insult him, in his, but I think if he was sitting, I would say anything, because it's my story too, and I can say anything that I want to or feel like getting off my chest or whatever. That's fine, but it's never in disrespect to my father, because if he taught us one thing, it's respect. Yes, and he struggled with an addiction, and he knew that. He's an alcoholic. He knew that, and he tried everything he could to steer us away from that. Yeah. I mean, cigarettes were what killed him, you know what I mean? As it was an addiction to that. And
I think a lot of that has to do with his, one, family history, and two, the military. I mean, he's a Marine, he went into that lifestyle, and I think that's, and again, that's where a lot of the addiction with pain pills and stuff comes with the veterans and stuff. But I don't think I've ever met a veteran in real life that doesn't either smoke or drink. Like, that's just what you do. In real life, Yeah, like, I just don't think there's... You got to cope, and... Yeah, there's no way.
But whatever the reasons were, like, he's not here to tell his story, but, he lives on with us every day, and my dad was my best friend. I mean, I love my dad, and I'll tell you this, he knew, just like... I'm sitting here, that he up a lot. Yeah. And, he didn't mean to, but at the end of the day, he was always trying to make life better for us. Totally. And he wanted and the stresses of life and whatever, let him down through there. And that sucks. And, we were a family, and we went down with him. And, and he's not proud of some of the things, and we're not proud of it or whatever, but
I'm glad you stopped me, because, like, when I said very traumatic and throwing plates, the first thing you think of is like some evil beast.
But no,
he was not an evil beast.
He
and
played
I think
with us every day, and he
he
wasn't like that. But he had a problem, and he would leave the house and he would go drink, and it was traumatic for our family, and just these things happened, and my mom's a freaking saint.
The strongest saint I've ever met in my life.
People are going to automatically say, "Oh, well, you look at the parents or whatever." And we talk a lot about like how we grew up and stuff like that. But why couldn't they control you or whatever? Let me tell you something.
Yeah, right.
Let me tell you something. It would have been a lot worse if I didn't have my saint of a mother. I'll tell you that much, because she is. Always had our best interest at heart, and I wanted to tell a story, and I don't know if she's gonna kick my ass for this. But
this is what the podcast is for. I like being able to like be like this serious, like express our like deep thoughts about this. Go ahead. Yeah, I want to hear the story.
So
mom, give her a spanking if she.
Yeah, I know, right? I told you about this story the other day, and you'd never heard it before. So I mean, we weren't always as close as we are, because you were with Katie and you're doing your sorority thing, and I was wilding out. Somewhere else, but. I got real bad on drugs and when I was real young, and I graduated high school when I was 17, and I was out of the house. Boy, I wanted freedom, and that's just my free spirit. That's just the way that I was. There was no forming me into that. That's just who I was born, and so I was gone, and I was doing everything under the sun, and then and I'd gotten real bad on drugs, and I'd gotten so bad. It was like a couple years I was into it. And this is before I moved to Pennsylvania, where Annie saved me and helped me, and got me out of this town, right? Because I think a lot of it is sometimes you just got to get up and go.
Environmental change is huge.
The environmental change. And my mom, bless her heart, she tried to tell me, don't hang out with those people, and don't, you are the company you keep. And she knows I'm a strong person, but she knew that I wasn't just going to succumb to anything. But she was more worried, I think. And she told me this the other day. She's like, I was always just more worried about the people you were hanging out with, and I knew that you were influenced and whatever. Anyway. All that to say this. So I was real bad, and I was so bad that I had no money. I was, underweight. I was way underweight. I had these big dark circles under my eyes. Dirty. I don't have anywhere to go. I don't have rent.
Were you like, did you have an eating disorder?
No.
Not to make light of eating disorders. I'm just saying,
I was on the cocaine,
I was about to say, what was your drug of choice is what I'm getting at.
I was doing the booger sugar.
The booger sugar.
And every way you could do it, I was trying to figure out a way to get it in me. Because shit like that.
I got hooked on that with you too.
I mean, shit like that will get you, boy. So I had, it was real bad. And this is the one time in my life where I felt like I was ever really addicted to anything. Mm-hmm. And I'll say, I'm an addict because of this right here. But, and I've been, almost 15 years clean now. But anyway, well, yeah. So, from that. So, from that one. So anyway, it got so bad, and I'm like in a bad part of town, and you know what I mean, can't get a ride, don't need money, all I want is more. And it got to the point, Colin, where I thought I was gonna die. I was like, I gotta do something. And when I came to that, when you hit rock bottom and you come to the realization that you have got to do something, it is sink or swim, and you are about to sink and drown. Like I was at the bottom, Colin.
Yeah, I remember that. Like, I don't remember the story, because I don't think I was around when you actually went through all that with Mom. But I remember you and me, the drug turned us against each other. Yeah. Like, I remember.
You stole some from me.
Yeah, or like. Why is your door shut? Why is your door locked? Let me in. Yeah. Can I get some? Can I get some?
Yeah.
That white shit will make you crazy.
Ruin your life.
It'll ruin your mental life. It'll ruin your whole life.
Don't do it.
Don't do that.
Stay
but
away.
No, yeah. I remember we used to deceive each other, and
when at first it started with, it was a good time, Charlie. Let's party.
Yeah, I got
this new stuff. I never seen more.
And then it was like, I'm keeping all
See
this
what it
for
smells
myself.
like?
Yeah.
So we, I was bad off on it, and 3 years in, and then it got to the point where it wasn't fun. It wasn't a party thing. It was like a life ruining thing. And this is one thing. I was just a very independent person. From, like I said, the day I moved out of the house, I was an independent person. And then, I never wanted to call home. I never wanted to go home again. It was, I'm free. I'm going to be gone. I'm never coming back home. I'll never need my parents again because I'm going to do it all myself. Right. I was 10 foot tall and bulletproof. Well, I needed mommy at this stage of my life. When you hit rock bottom, you're going to call the person that you know is always going to help you. And I called my mom and I said, Mom, I need your help. And I was crying and I'm shaking and I don't have any money and I was coming down off of everything and I was sick. And she, of course, what mom does, she comes and gets me. And I said, please help me. Please help me. I've got to get off of this or I'm going to die, Mom. And so she comes and she gets me and that's
strong right there to like take your.
For somebody as stubborn as me that would never call mom for help.
Right.
I had to call I broke down, and that's how you know it was rock bottom.
Right.
Broke down, called the one person I never said I would call. And she, of course, came to get me because she's my mother. But she comes and gets me and she like locks me down in her house. And this is like what I was afraid of.
You're like, damn, that's not what I wanted.
What did I do? So she puts me on lockdown in her house. And the only time I was allowed to leave the house is to go to a meeting. So
how old were you?
I was like 20, 21, something like that. Okay. I mean, it started young for me. So it was a long time ago. But I went to her house. She had me on lockdown. And then I said, Mom, I found an NA meeting. I'd like to go to it. And it was down. I knew exactly which one it was because I was plotting. And my mom, of course, she was all about it. And she says, yes, baby, let's go. Let's get you some help. She wanted me to go to rehab, all these things. And you got to work with me. Because like I said, I was not an easy person. Mm-hmm. I've never been an easy person. I've always been stubborn. So
she's probably like, oh my God, this is like actually,
she's really,
wow, yeah. Brittany's actually taking a step forward here. Yeah.
Right. And she couldn't save me. Nobody could save me. The only person that could save me was me. Mm-hmm. Well, this is what I did instead. I asked my mom to take me to an NA meeting. We went down. I told her exactly which one it was, and it was the one that was a mile from my drug dealer's house. Mm. And she dropped me. We got there. It was like in some church or something. She got me. Took me down there. I walked in, and then I looked back and waited for her to drive away. And she knew to come back in an hour to pick me back up. And she drove away. And then as soon as she drove away, I was out the door and I was on the way to get drugs. And then I do the drugs, and then it's time for Mom to pick me up. It's about time for Mom to pick me up. And I'm panicking and I'm high and I'm like,
I can't get back in the car.
I can't get back in the car with my mom like this. And so I leave. I dip. And my poor mom.
What? You didn't have a car. You just started walking?
Yeah. I mean,
Holy
I was gone back to the drug dealer house to get some more. I mean, whatever. But calling her, trying to call somebody to help me. And my poor mother comes back to pick me up from the NA meeting, and she's sitting outside waiting for me to walk out.
Oh my gosh.
Tell me about how it went. And she sat there and waited for an hour, just waiting on me. You know what I mean? And the things like that are so shameful for me. I can't believe I did that to my mother and and left her. And now she's worried, completely sick. She's just
filing a missing person report.
I mean,
and
she's
all that
freaking
stuff.
out. Yeah, she already knows what's happened. She's not dumb.
Yeah,
and just those things like that I did. That's like barely anything.
That's easy
in comparison to the things that I've done. But I'm just saying, like, that's an example of
how it had control of you.
It had such control over me that I was willing to just stand my mother up. You know what I mean?
Not only stand it up, but like scheme a whole plot of like an NA meeting.
To get out of the house, to get away from the help that I'd asked her for.
Right,
it took me so much to ask for,
Yeah. And then you had that one chance of freedom and you went to the drug.
Went AWOL. Yeah.
That's just so scary. Like
the millions of things that I've done and put that woman through, she's always still loved me and always still welcomed me home and always still come and got me and always will. And she's always been there and she always will,
Yeah.
Because she's my mama. She's gonna,
Yeah,
and I took advantage
amazing.
of her love for me, you know.
Yeah,
but she is a saint. So anybody got anything to say about my mama? Come on, you know what I mean? She did a damn good job. She did the best she could with what she was given. Okay.
Oh my gosh, especially after her relationship and marriage, you know. Like, on top of that, you're dealing with your kids that are, you know, following the footsteps, and that's what I'm so scared about. Is like the path that we're paving
for your kids.
For our kids, and knowing how predominant this trait is in us as far as a family goes.
Gotta break the cycle, Cullen.
Breaking the freaking cycle, y'all. But yeah, it's just the whole stigma about not talking about addiction and like things that control you is just needs to be squashed. Like, we need to just open up about some stuff. And like, there were so many amazing comments on the last podcast, but there were also several that really touched my heart that I read that were like, thanks to this video, I realized that I have an addiction and I want to like take care of it and try to fix this. Like, that's the things, you know, we see the comments that are like, y'all make me laugh and y'all make me smile and y'all make me, and that's amazing and everything. But like, when you see those comments about like,
you changed my life,
you're changing. Yeah. You're like actually making somebody else think about,
cry thinking about it. I'm serious, because that's the good stuff.
That's what the world needs, and what the internet should be for in this platform. And I think if we'd have kept this a secret in our relationship, and I just would have dipped, you know, like the fight or flight mentality when you're under the influence, or the I don't give a shit mentality when you're under the influence, or like, I would literally just shut down. That book that you The Language of Letting Go, I referenced it in our last video over on the main channel, but I actually went and picked that up that night after we filmed the last podcast. Brittany was like, you've got to read this book, because when I was going through my issues, I read this book, turned to page 241. It's an amazing little write-up or passage, or what was it? A daily meditation.
I told him the page to go to. I said, go to this page. This is my favorite one of the whole book, because I pretty much got the book memorized. I take it to when I was doing meetings and all that stuff. And hey, just because I'm not actively in meetings doesn't mean that I'm to pick. Let me just say this. Okay. I'm going to pick and choose, and this is just my personality. I'm going to pick and choose what I take from things. Right. And as long as it works for me, then that's what matters. Right. So what I took from I would take this to meetings, this book, and it was a codependency book, but it didn't matter, because for me, I mean, I have those issues too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you know what I mean? But it was the passages in it, and I think I said, you got to go get this book and then go to this passage or whatever.
It was amazing.
Or whatever,
but there's one passage in one of the recent days that I just read that was talking about just when you are in that state or whatever, it's like when you don't want to face the facts or face the demons or face that, you either turn to it or you just shut off completely. And I'm more of the like just shut off completely type personality, and don't express my emotions. And I can't tell you, I've cried like I've cried more in the past week than I've cried in the past year, just because I'm like, my emotions are back. It feels like, you know, like
you weren't killing them off with the drugs.
I wasn't, like hiding them or like masking them, like masking my emotions, but which is so intriguing. And like, I didn't realize, and that's what Katie's been saying this whole time. She's like, Cullen, you're such an amazing, emotional, sweet, sentimental father, husband, dad, but you haven't been that. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, you're crazy. I'm like sitting here like, I'm doing this, and this. And I give her like things that I've completed to show her, to justify that I'm working my ass off. So why can you sit there and tell me I'm not doing this and this and this? But she was just talking about, now that I look back on it, the whole, your
heart wasn't in it.
I was just emotionless. And yes, weed makes you feel happy, and you know that is an emotion. And it also makes you depressed if you think about it. I mean, it can, I guess, but there's a lot of people that use it for everything. We've already kind of touched on that, but it was definitely I think the reason it was making me emotionless was because that's all I was thinking about.
That's all you cared about.
I didn't care about what she had to say about not snuggling her that night, you know?
But you're plotting and scheming how you can break away to go hit a joint.
Exactly.
I mean,
like,
yeah.
hey, I'm going to go, and just from the little, like, hey, babe, I'm going to run and grab the candy bar from the gas station, you know, she automatically assumes I'm going to try to what's my other agenda or my other motive. And so that creates an argument behind the scenes. And then we have to vlog about happy stuff with our family, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's like just those little bitty things that y'all don't understand and see, which a lot of y'all, I would say probably 95% of y'all in the comments that have had issues with relatives and friends and family understand what we mean as far as these little issues that build up. But for 7 years, I mean, the first 7, I guess, was just, just the lies and the deceit and the dishonesty. And for her to stick by my side, just like mom,
she's a saint
and
too.
Dad to stick by her sides, and
she's a lot like our mom, I think.
Yeah,
to be honest with you,
she is so strong-willed and so supportive and everything else. So
I'd have left your ass a long time ago.
Well, and she did. She actually, we broke up. We broke up at one point. And because of my lies. And you know what I think it was? We were talking about this last night, me and her. It was the booger sugar that she found out about. And
that's why she left you.
That was the straw that broke the camel's back. We literally,
before you were married, right?
Yeah, this was before we were married. We've been we've been dating for a couple years maybe, I think. But I mean, it was one of those, like, we brought our boxes of crap that we had, not crap, but like, you know, our sweatshirts that we wore from each other and everything, promise ring and all that stuff, and exchanged it. Like,
broke up.
Yeah. And
I remember that because you had to fight to get her back after that one.
Oh my God.
That's when you got clean off of it. And that's when I think I was already, then I got worse and we weren't talking and stuff.
Yeah. See,
She saved your life then too.
Yeah, because I was hooked on the booger sugar.
And you know what? I watched her thing the other day and she said, you know, it's a lot of pressure when you say stuff like we saved my life and you know, all this. Well, it's never meant that way. You're never trying to put pressure on this woman. You're just saying, you know, if it wasn't for my love for you, because if you didn't love her so much, you wouldn't care what she thought about you. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's all on you when we say stuff like that, I think. But it's like, if it wasn't because you were so wonderful and such a good person, and because I loved you so much that I wanted to keep you, that made me change my ways. And everybody says, oh, you should do it for yourself. Well, he was doing it for himself to a degree, but he was really doing it to keep the girl, you know. And so several times I think that just her being this presence in your life that you wanted to keep so very badly, that's what saved your life. You know what I mean? So I think no pressure on her when you say that. Is
right. Yeah, that's what I mean.
At.
Like, yeah, what you're saying about like me wanting to keep, I was doing it to keep her. I was getting clean to keep her.
Yeah. And you never really did it for yourself.
Yeah.
And now it's like, I think you like, well, of course you want to do it to keep her too again, but
yeah, totally.
But sometimes you got to just want to do it for yourself. And a lot of people have also commented and said that I've read that it's like, you know, you got to do it for yourself and you got to be real and you got to be honest and you got to buckle down. And it's never going to work if you don't do it for you. And I think that, you know, because you come to a head and, I've seen a big change in you, and I'm your sister. I know you pretty damn well. You know what I mean? I've known you your whole life. You know? Right. And I feel like it's for real this time. And so
totally, like, and that's what's so crazy about it all is like the whole reality of like, and honestly, like not fully here, like my kids. Like the more I was, you know, sitting there and like when I would shut the emotions off and just leave, and I used to never like just up and leave when me and Katie got in an argument. Like, I don't mean like leave and go and never come back. I mean like I didn't want to argue in front of the kids. And so the next best thing to do is just to go drive. And if I ended up at the drug dealer's house on the way home, then so be it. And it was my way to cope with the stress and delight in our relationship at the time, but that was only creating more stress, and I didn't see it at the time.
Yeah.
But I always go back and think about, like, I wonder what would have happened if we'd had kids, like the first time we broke up before we were even married. If I would have thought about it differently, because the thought of not having one, myself back, but two, my kids and family and everything that
everything matters to you.
Everything that actually really matters to me, and I haven't even told Katie this, but one of them, one of the dealers reached back out to me this week and was like, "Yo, what up? You ready?" And I honestly wrote back and said, "Nope, I'm done," and blocked his number. So, I haven't even.
Good for you, Cullen. Good for you. Hey, you know what? Don't put so much pressure on yourself either. Like, people, like, we talked about this. It's like Cullen says, "Brittany, what if I mess up? What if I fall? Well, then get back up." You know what I mean? And everybody's gonna hate on me. And if I don't succeed and do this right, who gives a damn what anybody thinks? Like,
really.
You got to just try. You got to try.
Yeah, so. That's the thing. And
I'm proud of you. I'll tell you that much. I'm proud of you.
No, and it wasn't even like a thought. When I got that text, I was just like,
nope.
Immediately. Like, I'm like, and that's when I, like, if you couldn't tell from the previous videos that I'm done, like, I'm done. I don't know. So, God, there's so many freaking comments I want to address and, like, talk about, and we're going to keep kind of, a lot of y'all loved the last podcast, and they were like, yes, just talk. Like, that's what I like to hear, is y'all talking about this stuff. But we also want to keep it, fun, like we said last time, and that kind of thing. But, I kind of had like a revelation the other day that we were talking about before this, we started recording this, and a lot of y'all were like, "Cullen, you need your own channel and all that kind of stuff." But then I was like, well, me and Brittany this is what a podcast is for. Like, if you can, I saw the Anchor people on Twitter is like, if you can tweet about it, you can podcast about it. And I quote tweeted that, and I said, flip it and reverse it. Because if you can podcast about it, you can tweet about it. Because this podcast has, like, opened up my mind to so many things. Like, and I think it's like I said, divine intervention in the last thing with the man at the restaurant in my last video. I don't know if you saw that.
I saw that, yeah.
I almost went live on Instagram.
Someone said it was like Dad talking to you.
Yeah, that was crazy. Like, I know that I busted out in tears when I read that. But
I hate seeing him cry. I hate it. Oh my God, I was bawling like a little baby on the last couple of vlogs.
When I left the restaurant that night, I honestly was about to jump on Instagram Live. Don't tell Mom, just impromptu, because I had to tell the story, and because it was that impactful to me. But where was I? What was I saying?
You want to tell them that you're going to do that if you want to.
Right. So, people are like, start your own channel and this kind of thing, and be able to get your thoughts out a little bit differently. But I think if what do y'all think? Let me know if this is even something that y'all would be interested in, but kind of doing my, like, taking another day out of the week for a Don't Tell Mom upload, and, sitting down and, like, working through this better life process, self-help.
Call it should have listened to Mom. You know what I mean?
We got Don't Tell Mom and should have listened to my mom. That'd be funny.
That's your little like a mini segment thing.
Yeah, and so I thought about, like, okay, I could create my own channel because I'm really motivated and I really want to talk about this stuff, and it's really life changing when you sit down and, like, get into the nitty gritty of everything. And not just that, I've been going to the gym this past week with your husband, my brother-in-law Corey,
Yeah.
And the fact that he's like reached out to me a couple times, and just, you know, Katie's like a homebody. She's like, I can't work out with anybody. I got to do this. And I'm like, I got to get out. And I love having somebody there to just shoot the shit with.
Yeah, motivate you.
And motivate. Like the other day, I don't know if Corey told you this, we were sitting there and there's a couple other people in the gym, and he's over there doing stuff on the cable things, and I was just like, all right, this will be funny. I'm just going to go over there. I went over to the dumbbell rack. I picked up a 5-pounder and I started going, yeah! You just see Corey like duck his head and start like.
Corey gets so
he
embarrassed.
was so like, oh God, this guy's crazy.
He gets so embarrassed.
But to have the accountability there and the motivation has been crucial. So thank you. And the friends, the YouTube friends, the real family, everybody.
Brian called you.
Yeah, Brian, Jared, everybody is like behind the scenes, reached out and given their encouragement and
Doesn't that make you feel good? You got all
that's,
these people around you rallying behind you, supporting you, saying, yes, you can do this.
And I try to say you don't even understand how much that means to me. And again, you do, though, if you've been in it. Like, because it's
kind of scary, too, isn't it? Because you're like, oh, I can't let them down.
Right. But I'm not. I mean, that's the thing is, like, I would not even bat an eye at anything right now or in the future, because I've, like, dedicated my sobriety, if you will, to. And like, we went out to eat Mexican.
You're like a couple weeks in. Just calm down.
Right.
Let's do this one day at a time. Okay? It's like, I'm done forever. That's what we all say.
No, we went out to the Mexican.
I'm not saying it's setting you up for failure or anything. I'm just saying you're mighty cocky. You're so cocky.
Well, I'm so like, it's like when you have something new, or when you get something new, you want to share it and show it off and tell everybody and tell the world about this like new thing that you discovered. Yeah. And so I am like shouting from the walls, and my brain's like racing because I've got all this stuff I want to say. So like I said, leave a comment, let me know. But I think I want to like kind of open up the channel and do like another post or another post.
I told him call it Cullen's Confessionals.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, whatever. You find a little, but I mean,
just like a little 10 minutes, something just to sit down and chit chat.
You have this platform. Like, I mean, it doesn't matter like what you do. Like, it does matter what you do with it. I'm saying you have this platform already, and so take whatever time you need and sit here and talk and just,
that's what I want to do.
That's the best part about. That's why we started this podcast, Cullen, was just to talk and to Well, and then once that video goes up or whatever the case may be, we can kind of read the comments off that and chit chat about that on the Don't Tell Mom with you and me, and or we can like talk about weird news stories and stuff. So it's like we're not just like. It's going to be a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but it's all about Don't Tell Mom. Hey, listen, I told him, I said, Cullen, anything goes on the Don't Tell Mom podcast. Anything and everything goes on this podcast. Yeah. You can do whatever you want. And if I want to do something without you being here, I'm going to do it.
So you may get a video with just her in it. And
what grinds my gears? Yeah. Brittany talks to Brittany bitches for 4 hours.
Brittany.
Yeah. No, I'm just kidding.
Bitching with Brittany.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
But with the new baby on the way, I was like, you probably think that you're gonna want to do some podcasts, but I guarantee you're not gonna have any sleep, and you're gonna be like, oh God, it's when are we gonna film this podcast? So I don't
have to worry about it because you got a whole topic. I don't need to help you carry the show or anything.
I said let's just consider this like maternity leave for you. We'll treat it like a real job.
Things out.
But no, I think that might be interesting. I'm kind of tossing the idea around, and I want to hear from y'all. But
tell us what you think.
I guess for now, that's all we got to say on this episode of Don't Tell Mom. Thank y'all for watching.
Thank y'all. Yeah, it's another long one, so but thank y'all so much for watching and listening. I
literally could talk for another hour about this stuff.
I know, right?
Like, you might want to go and
film your side thing.
I got to go take care of my kids with my wife.
Right. So listen, y'all. We appreciate all the feedback that we've gotten. We appreciate the comments. We love y'all, and we think that y'all are amazing, and all the few bad apples, I mean, doesn't even compare to the overwhelming feeling of gratitude that we have for all of you that have shared your stories. I had no idea our audience was filled with so many,
Oh my
people
gosh.
like us, like people.
Oh my gosh. And the
human beings.
The outcome of their childhood because of their parents, like you said, people like us, like
people like us. Y'all are just like us.
Y'all are just like us.
Who would have thunk it?
So maybe that's what we call it, just like us.
Yeah. Just like us. I don't know. We got lots of things working, and we just hope that y'all stick with us, man, and ride this out. And
we literally have just freaking turned over a new chapter. Like, this is gonna get lit, y'all. Like, y'all stay around. If y'all are new here, thank you for watching.
Yeah.
Thank you for all the new subscribers that came over. We had an influx of those too. So welcome.
Hey.
And like I said, we're about to flip another page and get on this. I am like super motivated right now to get shit done.
I like it.
And Marie Kondo up in this house too. I'm Marie Kondoing my substance abuse.
You gotta get it all nice and tidy.
Yes.
All right. We love y'all. Thanks for watching.
So much.
Thanks for listening.
Love you guys.
And we'll see you next time.
Don't tell
Peace.
Mom.